Yeah.
What happened now?
Check out the link that I put in the chat.
Holy hell.
Yeah, right? What?
Oh boy. Oh, Insta Pump Fury. Shit.
Wow. And I was just telling Todd, or Todd and I were just talking about how like the 90s fashions are not even, it's not even like a little bit anymore. It is like pretty much fashion is just 90s fashion right now.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like there is only 90s fashion.
Yeah. Yeah, we saw the wave coming like when I guess we should officially start the podcast. But like it was probably like 5 years ago. One of my high school friends, Jen Briggs, she she like posted on Facebook, she's like, what the fuck? And shared like an ad for
Jinkos?
fucking overalls. Overalls, like women's overalls, just to wear like 90s fashion. Just like, what the fuck is happening? Like
Yeah, I saw an ad for Jinko jeans last year.
Yeah, they
That's
came back.
like, what? And I wonder, did like Jinko survive through, or did somebody like buy the license?
No, they bought it and revived it.
Okay, that's what I figured. Because I was like, there's no way that Jinko like survived through the 2000s, like when everybody was wearing skinny jeans.
Well, there are places like Bakersfield that Jinkos
That's
never went
true,
away.
I guess. Yeah, I mean, where are the juggalos going to get all their pants?
Magnets, how do they work? Well, it is Sunday night, everybody, and this is the Getting Off Topic podcast. This is Tony.
This is Todd.
This is Byron. And hi, it's Meg.
Why does she sound like a Muppet? She might be joining later. She is out and about in the world like a human being does, like a vaccinated human being does.
So one last thing about these 90s fashions.
Okay.
Is that you know, I'm in my mid 30s at this point, and I feel like just as I was figuring out my own personal fashion, and like how to look cool with my own personal style, what is cool is now changing and slipping right out of my grasp.
Yeah. Dadgummit, as soon as I get it, they don't change it on me again.
Yeah. I used to wear an onion on my belt.
Oh man.
I used to be hip, I used to be with it. Then they changed what it was. Now what it is strange and scary. It'll happen to you.
No. For the listeners at home, Byron just shared with us the news that official Reebok Jurassic Park sneakers are coming or they're out already.
I think they're out, and they look straight out of 1993. Like,
these are bright fucking primary colors.
I mean, I don't think
they look like the
these...
Jeeps from the first Jurassic Park.
Yeah, and
that's exactly what they're modeled at.
I don't think that these literal ones were out, but like I definitely probably had a pair of shoes that looked almost identical to them.
Yeah, these are legit.
These things are like more intense than even like a 5-year-old's shoes.
Yeah. Now, do these actually have the pump on them?
It looks like it,
because it's called the Jurassic Park Reebok Insta Pump Fury.
It looks like that's got the pump right on the
on the toe. Yeah,
on the tongue.
Okay.
Yeah, that's definitely.
I wasn't sure if it was just there for like the nostalgia factor, if it legitimately does the pump action.
Wow.
Oh boy.
Man, those things are fucking hideous.
And they will cost you $180. They're just that's the thing. Like the wave of nostalgia has like hit hard, and so everybody's just cashing in any way they can.
$180 is what the people that wait in line for 8 hours will pay. What you will pay is $800.
Much more than that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say sneakerheads are like something else, man.
Even if they're ugly as fuck, sneakerheads will buy them.
Did you watch that Disney Plus show with Jeff Goldblum? It was like The World According to Jeff Goldblum or something like that.
No, I didn't.
It was just an excuse for him to like wander around the country and just investigate.
Get free sneakers?
Yeah, actually, legitimately, there was an episode like they just pick any random subject, like he's gonna go explore the wonders of the world of barbecue enthusiasts, and yeah, and then like jean enthusiasts. There's this whole thing about like custom jeans and the history of Levi and all that shit, and went to the Levi factory.
Well, like custom jeans with like pictures of like Top Gun on them or something.
Like fucking anything, like any
jeans. The amount of people that are sneakerheads, there's just as many I don't know what they call them, but jeans aficionados are the same way. Like they go hard on like vintage.
Do they call
jeans.
them jean genies?
Go hard, genies. So there was actually an episode where he just dove into the world of custom sneakers, and he's like name brand or just like high quality custom sneakers, and these like conventions and like shows that people go to, all the sneakerheads, and they're just trading and buying and dropping like 30 fucking G's for insane ass sneakers.
There's like I know a couple sneakerheads, so like I definitely understand that like this is a thing. But like there's niches for that type of stuff. Like pin collecting is a thing that's like absurdly big, and I always just hope that like myself and like my like eventual partner have at least the same sort of like weird niche interests at heart, you know, because like it's so easy to like just have somebody who you've been dating for a while and then they're like, oh, just FYI, I'm really into collecting troll dolls.
Yeah.
You know, like and it's just a crap roll. Like maybe they are like a pirate and go to like pirate conventions and stuff like that, or like pirate festivals, or like maybe they're like really into troll collecting, or you know.
We ran out of time last episode, but one of the headlines that I was going to mention, have you been hearing about the crazy run of Pokemon card investors lately?
because they're like, I don't know why.
So we touched on it a couple of podcasts ago, but basically on Twitch and YouTube, there's been a run of people opening vintage Pokemon cards.
Oh.
And that has sort of fueled the new cards as well. So the new cards, just like Magic, they come out with an expansion like once every 6 months or so. And they want to get in on the new cards too, instead of just the old vintage cards, because the old vintage cards are expensive as fuck. And you can get the same hype opening a bunch of new cards on your Twitch stream.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And
I feel like all the collecting like niches are going through like a severe like price increase, because like game collecting, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to that. The price of retro game collecting for specifically the like 5th gen consoles has just absolutely skyrocketed.
It's the pandemic.
Pandemic. I mean, it was
like you're sitting at home.
The stimmy money, you know, like everybody
money too, but everybody's sitting at home. They can't go outdoors. They can't do outdoor stuff with people. They can't go shopping. Well, I mean, up until a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
So what do? You're at home. You sit on eBay. You sit on Amazon. You look for things.
And when you got $1,400 from the government just ripping a hole in your pocket, you know.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, I went to Hawthorne Game Exchange, which is a new it's under new ownership, but it's a classic game store. They have vinyls and t-shirt. I bought a Silent Hill 3 shirt there the other day. But I picked up Tony Hawk's Underground 1, and because I've never actually played it all the way through. It's one of the only Tony Hawk games I haven't played. And I got Burnout 2 Director's Cut, both for the original Xbox.
Nice.
Yeah, some good pickups.
Yeah. And kind of like what we touched on last time or 2 times ago, whatever, we were talking about the whole, as we were struggling to understand NFTs and Bitcoin and whatnot, there's these niche things. Well, I mean, that's not a niche thing, it's a huge thing, but also like the Pokemon card stuff, the sneaker collecting, any sort of collectible, you know, whatever your brand is, there's going to be the people that grab these things to appreciate them and enjoy them and like the vintage games and play them. And there's a mass amount of people just trying to get rich quick and just trying to grab the goods so then they can show it off to somebody else for much more.
That's the majority on newer Pokemon, like the CCGs, Pokemon, Magic. That's the trend lately. Is there are more people buying for value rather than buying to play and or collect.
I mean, that makes sense. I feel like it's always sort of trended in that direction in the first place. But it's definitely seems like it's going much more that way.
Oh my God, there's also Ghostbusters themed Reeboks. And it's the pink slime from number 2.
What? That's so weird.
Oh, this is bizarre. What the? Okay.
Now I'm just confused. That is like
I threw it in the chat. I don't understand. I don't understand who's gonna buy that.
Yeah, how would you even know what that is? It looks like it's like from Nickelodeon or like Double Dare or something.
Yeah. Somebody just like poured slime on you.
Oh no, thank you.
Why?
Yeah, no, I'm good.
No, stop it, Reebok. No.
Oh, there's more. It's like a whole line of Reeboks.
Oh,
the third one's not too bad.
Yeah, the second ones are interesting too.
Oh, I see.
Oh, the fourth one's cool. I like the fourth one.
Oh, with the big logo there.
Yeah, those are pretty cool.
Okay, that one makes more sense. The bottom half of it is kind of bizarre, but whatever.
The third and fourth ones are all right. I don't mind those last two.
All right, enough of this shit.
So, did you guys see the teaser trailer for The Last Night in Soho?
No, I didn't know this existed. I saw a headline for it, but I didn't have time to watch.
I think it came out. I think it came out today. So
okay.
Yeah,
Untitled Joy, right?
It's a teaser trailer for the actual trailer, which comes out later this week.
Oh, I hate that shit.
Yeah, and it's Anna Taylor-Joy. But I don't know. Edgar Wright. I feel like Scott Pilgrim is like getting a lot of secondary looks. I recently rewatched it. It's one of my favorite movies. But like
Billy Byron, I had no idea.
Yeah, right.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I only talked about like spending a bunch of money on getting the physical edition of the game a couple weeks ago. Yeah, so it supposedly it says that it's in the vein of other sort of like 60s and 70s era thrillers, like suspense thrillers, like 1973's Don't Look Now and Polanski's Repulsion, which are, I mean, those are some like pretty specific movies to name drop.
Okay.
Because they're very like visually iconic. And both sort of horror, not necessarily horror, definitely more on the side of suspense thriller, but Don't Look Now is a little bit more on horror. And Edgar Wright, I don't know. I mean, I think he's probably one of the most consistent filmmakers on the planet in terms of like everything that he makes is great.
Yeah, if it says Edgar Wright on it, I'm gonna watch it. And, yeah. And with Anya Taylor-Joy as well, like even better. I'm down. Like I'm in.
Yeah. Especially like Baby Driver, I think was a little bit more of a sort of I was not expecting that from him. It's not really the type of movie that he's made before, but it was great.
Todd brought in some pretty awesome, probably the most awesome of news this week. He announced on Facebook or shared the link on Facebook. Our Henry Cavill, our boy in blue, is set to star in the Highlander remake. Directed by John Wick's Chad Stahelski. Stahelski, did you say his name?
I think
Yeah,
so.
I didn't even know a remake was in the works. But
They've been trying for a while. I mean, it's one of those franchises that like I feel like I've been hearing about remakes for like 10, 15, almost 15 years.
Yeah, since the last movie played, there
Pretty
were
much,
like,
yeah.
I mean,
When was the last one?
oh god, I think it was like a made for sci-fi
2006
movie or
or
something like that. That
well,
was
that's the thing
fucking
that
awful.
yeah, they kept it kept chugging along through the 90s. Like they had, I want to say at least 2 series.
I'm gonna say it was
There was-
probably 2003 or 2004.
There was 2 different series, and then there was a series of reboot movies after the main actors left, after Christopher Lambert stopped doing them.
Okay. But yeah, Todd shared that news on Facebook, to which I immediately replied, "Okay, so what Scotsman are we gonna get to play a Spaniard this time?"
So I think the one that I'm thinking of is Highlander Endgame.
Oh yeah, that was fucking awful. That one was fucking awful.
Maybe it's not.
Oh, and then so Highlander: The Source was the last movie, and that was the Sci-Fi Channel direct movie.
Oh wow. And then there was the show, which I used to catch episodes of it on Sci-Fi Channel way back in the day, like 90s era.
Yeah, the series was good. They also had another series, The Raven, which only did 1 or 2 seasons, which was kind of garbage. And the animated series was actually okay.
Animated series, oh shit.
Yeah, they did an animated series. It was okay. It was not terrible. It was not good.
Well, have they even said, is it going to be the same character story? Is it going to be a straight up remake of, what was he, Duncan?
I would imagine it's probably going to be a remake of the first one.
Okay.
They don't have to remake it because the show had a different lead. So I mean,
yeah, me too.
You can have multiple Highlanders. So I mean, obviously there can only be one, but still, in the process of getting to be the one, there can be multiple.
Now the question is, do they use the music from the first one?
They have to use the Queen.
They have to use the Queen soundtrack.
They'll do a fresh soundtrack for everything else, but there's got to be a heroic moment where they pay tribute to it with the original theme. Here we are, born to be kings. We are the princes of the universe. Wow, 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 wow. Geez. But yeah, Sean Connery famously playing Ramirez in the first one. It was Ramirez, wasn't it? Was his name?
Yes.
Who trained him? So yeah, maybe not so much this time around.
Who do you think they're gonna end up in the future in the second one?
Oh Jesus!
Sure.
Have to shut down the weather satellite or whatever the fuck that was.
God, that was one of the most bonkers. See, that made no fucking sense. Like that was more bonkers than Predator 2.
Like okay, so like I understand what was going on like with the idea, like, well, if they live forever, they're going to be in the future too. You know,
Wasn't
like
that another one of those like near future, like Predator 2? It was like in the utopia of 97 or something.
Yeah, back then it was the near future of 2024, which isn't too far off, guys.
Yeah.
Oh well, let's say hit the nail on the head. Yeah, they got
it. Well, Sean Connery's dead, so definitely the future for him.
Well, I joked with Todd on that Facebook post. I was like, so what Scotsman are we going to get to play a Spaniard this time? And to your credit, you actually had a good point. Ewan McGregor could pull that off. I could see if anybody's going to charm us enough to accept that, it's going to be Ewan McGregor.
I mean, the top 4 Scottish actors we have a choice from would be Ewan McGregor, James McAvoy. So just put James McAvoy in another fucking huge franchise. Or David Tennant, and then that's about it. Like we could possibly, we could get Craig Ferguson.
Spaniard.
That's crazy talk, Byron. No, we're getting Tennant. Damn it. All right. What else? Any other headlines?
I mean,
I didn't catch much. But yeah, we had the Highlander
John
thing.
John Boyega is filming Attack the Block 2, so that's coming out.
that's cool.
Oh, it is actually officially happening?
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice. I was really excited about or maybe we already covered this. The Wheel of Time series at Amazon has finished wrapping, and they have an early season 2 renewal.
I think that's interesting.
That's going to be in post production forever, though.
That bodes well for Wheel of Time, because usually when something is picked up before the first season even starts, it's usually a good sign.
Yeah, Rosamund Pike is the lead in that one.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's like I was looking it up. We had this long conversation of it. It's like 15 books, I think it was.
Good God.
Yeah.
No, 14 books, because Robert Jordan
didn't he die?
Yeah, he died before he was able to finish the last book, which the last book was going to be number 12, but he left detailed notes for some other author to come in and finish it for him. And then the guy who took over, forget his name,
split it in two or something.
Brandon
Sanderson,
I think it was. Yeah. He started working on it using his notes, and he was just like a longtime fan of the series, and had met Robert Jordan before. So he was selected, I guess, by whoever was in charge of but once he started working on it, he realized with everything that had to play out, he's like, oh, this can't fit in one giant book. Like, it looks like Robert Jordan was kind of trying to finish it because he knew his time was coming.
Yeah.
So they ended up splitting it into 3 final books. So final book 12 became 12, 13, 14. And that was
wow. It's interesting. I think that like this is a phenomenon that happens in science fiction and fantasy literature. Like more than it happens in other sort of realms, in that like an author has to come in and finish the final works of another author because they died, because there's too many books.
Too many books.
Because like this isn't the first time that I've heard of this happening.
Yeah. I mean, that's what prevents me from starting a lot of series, because I'm just like, give me more like one-off fantasy stories. But nobody wants that. They want this crazy expansive world, and I understand that, but it kind of becomes preventative. I mean, that's like why I didn't watch like Supernatural until it fucking ended, because
I mean, I'll be honest, like I don't have the patience to read a long book series. Unless it's like something that's like once in a lifetime sort of storytelling. I have a hard time getting through one book now, let alone 12.
I know my attention span, and maybe that comes to like chalk it up to growing up loving movies where you're done in 2 hours. You don't have to sit there and concentrate on pages. Maybe that's why I'm a poor book reader, fiction.
Yeah, and I mean, I've very much realized, and I think we've talked about this a little bit, is that audiobooks are just like a hybrid approach works for me, but like audiobooks are really the only way that I get through books at this point. Like,
I think the last actual book that I read, like sat down and read cover to cover, was probably The Martian, like at your like the day before your wedding, Tony.
I mean, then that's the thing, is I also read The Martian, and that was probably one of the fewer sci-fi books that I've actually read in the last decade, and I read it in like a day or something like that, or like 2 days or 3 days or something.
Super short.
That was a good one. Speaking of ongoing series, or I guess like temporarily returning series, Meg and I watched the other night that new Adventure Time special. It came out.
How was it?
The third one now, which is the Finn and Jake one. It was good. It was really good. So yeah, they're like 45-minute one-off specials. They have a 4th and final one, which is going to be about Peppermint Butler. But this was a cool little one, just kind of like putting a final wrap-up story on Finn and Jake. I can't really say anything without giving it away. So if you guys, for fans of the series, if you want, I've got to do a rewatch of
because I didn't catch the last how many seasons were there total?
10.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. Well, some are.
I guess I
shorter than
didn't see the
others.
last 5 seasons then.
Yeah. Well, they broke them up. It kind of did like a Game of Thrones thing where they just started releasing shorter seasons that were broken up a lot
Yeah.
more. So the last ones are kind of like mini seasons. But I mean, it's like a fucking 12-minute show. Like it goes by fast.
Yeah, it's easy. When you actually sit down and like binge it, it's actually pretty quick.
Yeah. I think that was our first or one of our first quarantine binges was that entire run.
So I saw this that DC's Batgirl movie will be helmed by the directors of Bad Boys for Life.
I still haven't watched that. I've been meaning to go back and watch the first two again because it's been so long.
Yeah.
But I heard a lot of positive reviews on that last one.
So the script is from Christina Hodson, and the directors are Adil El Arbi and Bilal Falal. And yeah, so they'll be directing Batgirl.
Is there a potential release date on that one, or is it still far in the?
I mean, I would say 2 years, probably.
That makes sense.
It seems like it's so the DCEU has been sort of very, very confusing in terms of their plans because originally, they had
Really?
their DCEU plans.
You don't say.
And then they're like, oh yeah, actually now we're not doing connected universe stuff. Everything's just going to take place in its own little pocket dimension. And then just a couple months ago, they were like, actually, we're doing the connected universe thing again, but it's all the multiverse. But we are actually going to have all our characters interact, or at least the core. I feel like the core storylines, and then they announced that the Batman takes place on Earth 2.
Yeah, guys. Ben wants to be Batman again. What are we doing?
I know, right? And then there was that rumor, super rumor. Take this one with a grain of salt, everybody, because it comes from We Got This Covered, and they do not have a good track record. Possible Arkham Asylum show starring Affleck.
Oh yeah, I saw that one.
I mean, the reason why I believe it is because he's really been trying to I think he was really, really into this concept of an Arkham Asylum show or Arkham Asylum story. And I feel like the Snyder Cut sort of reawakened his desire to be Batman again. And I liked him as Batman.
Yeah, he's solid. I mean, most of my issues with Snyder's take were stylistic and
I hated Snyder's take on the character, but Affleck's representation of that character I thought was great.
Yeah, he was a solid, older, grizzled Batman. I was totally down with it. Did you guys get caught up with The Bad Batch?
Oh no, I haven't.
I have.
We got or should I not say? I mean, it's not like a spoiler or anything, but
it's not Fennec Shand, isn't it?
Yeah, we get Fennec Shand. Yeah.
Wait, was she voiced by
Ming-Na Wen? Yeah.
Oh wow, they actually got her.
As soon as you hear her voice, it's just like a warm blanket. It's like, Ming-Na, rad.
See, I'm always expecting her to be yelling about not putting the right names on somebody's chart and getting them into the OR quicker.
The ER days. Yeah. Oh man, God, that feels like a lifetime ago.
I mean,
it was.
She was in her 20s when she was doing it, so it definitely was.
And I was in my early teens watching it, I think. Oh, geez. But yeah. Oh,
that was a good episode, though.
Yeah, it was a good, fun, solid episode. I'm sure they'll have more of her down the road.
Did anybody catch Army of Dead?
Not yet.
Not yet. We should do an episode on it.
Yeah. I've been hearing.
In 3 weeks or something. 2 weeks.
I've been hearing a lot of people really actually enjoying it and saying like, "Oh wow, Zack Snyder is back," and
Really?
I mean, we'll see.
A handful of people saying like, it's his same old shit or something. I don't know.
I mean, I'm expecting it to be the same old shit, but I really liked Dawn of the Dead. So like,
yeah,
I feel like his take on zombies is pretty good. I feel like zombie movies are the perfect place for his unique brand of bullshit.
you're like, you go there now.
Yeah, just go over there. You're good with zombies.
Yeah.
Just don't ever try to do anything else.
No superheroes. No more superheroes. Speaking of
No
Star Wars,
superhero.
though, Todd, you found out that the Galaxy's Edge is bringing in the dark saber.
Yes,
How does
I
that
need
even
it.
work?
I need it so badly.
Yeah. I wonder if that's going to be part of their new fancy ones that actually like retract. And
I doubt it.
I doubt it because it's commercially available to purchase.
Okay.
So, like they have the preset ones, they have the custom one that you can make. So, it's more expensive than the standard preset ones, but it's cheaper than the custom one.
All right. Yeah, that would actually be kind of rad.
I need it.
I also saw the Vindicators, Rick and Morty spinoff.
The Vindicators.
Yeah, which is weird because Dan Harmon said that was one of his least favorite episodes that he's ever made.
It probably tested really well with audiences, and Adult Swim was like, "Give me the money."
The name sounds familiar, but I don't remember.
It's like the Avengers knockoff.
The superhero team in space.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And
So
they're like super dysfunctional.
Oh. Okay.
Well, it is one of the worst episodes of Rick and Morty. So
I remember enjoying it, but I don't need more of those characters. But whatever.
yeah.
Okay.
Money.
Money, spinoffs, forever spinoffs.
Well, they announced it with a bunch of 3 other digital spinoffs for Adult Swim shows.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ, can the Knives Out cast get any larger at this point?
Oh my god, yeah, I was gonna say like this cast is getting ridiculous.
Oh,
Kate Hudson. Now? Kate Hudson has joined Knives Out too.
Kate Hudson. Wow.
That's a name you haven't heard in a while.
Yeah. Queen of the rom-coms.
2000s rom-com.
2000 rom-com era. Yeah, Matthew McConaughey rom-com era.
Hey, maybe he'll get Matthew McConaughey. He feels like he would fit in this universe.
I would be totally down with that. I'm 100% on board with that.
Yeah, he's too busy running for Texas governor.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh geez. All right. When actors get bored, they run for office.
And then they consistently win.
Yeah, there you go. They either start a podcast.
It's not just actors; it's fucking celebrities in general. Look at
Ronald Reagan, the actor. Who's vice president? Jerry Lewis.
Look at the mayor in Huntington Beach. It's fucking David Ortiz, the MMA fighter.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh, that explains so much.
Oh dear.
And he's just as bad as you think he would be.
Oh god.
Okie dokie. Hey guys, should we get on to some Mission Impossible here?
Speaking of politics.
Yeah. Right.
So
well, last one, because I think this is pretty interesting.
Go for it.
A trilogy of Fear Street movies from R.L. Stine.
Whoa.
And they're coming out a week apart. The first one takes place in the 90s, the second one takes place in the 1790s, and the third one takes place in the 1890s. Or I think no. The first one's 1990s, second one's 1970s, third one's 1790s.
1666.
There we go.
Okay. I never read any of the Fear Street ones. I was all Goosebumps, but
they're really good. They're like slightly more, they're for like a slightly older audience, so like older teens rather than like preteens. But I don't know. I just like I like the idea of Fear Street. Also, like I like horror movies that have like shared universes that are like thought out and aren't just like, I don't know, let's just give them a bigger knife this time.
Okay.
And not the poor attempt at a connected universe like the dark
when it's
universe.
intentional, when it's an intentional like story that they're trying to tell.
So from somebody that pre-screened the movies, they say it's a mix of scary stories to tell in the dark, Friday the 13th, Stranger Things, and Scream.
Hey, I like almost all of those things.
Yeah.
That scary stories to tell in the dark movie they did.
Yeah, like the books or the movies.
Yeah. I mean, I mostly enjoyed it, but it was definitely watered down for like teens. It would have been nice to see something more adult, but I'm asking that of a young adult like book series, scary stories to tell in the dark.
And they are rated R. They're not PG-13. So.
Sweet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
all right.
I'm definitely gonna check them out. But
cool. All right. Well, in the meantime, we got some more impossible missions to conquer because we are in week 2 of Podcast Impossible.
And the funny thing is that I feel like the second week, my feelings are almost identical to the first week's in terms of the level of quality.
Really? Okay.
Well, in terms of the discrepancy.
Because you were all hyped for number 3. You were like, "Oh yeah, give me that."
I know, I was. Yeah, I know.
I mean, in comparison to movie number 2,
oof, yeah,
like enough said. 2006. So it took 6 years until we got movie number 3, Mission Impossible.
And it makes sense. Like after 2.
No.
I think a lot of people were embarrassed and like, let's just wash that one right out of our hair.
Yeah. So 2006 mission. Well, the amount of hair gel in that year 2000, you definitely take a while to get all that out.
Hey, believe me, back in the year 2000, I
tips.
used like half a tub of hair gel.
Oh, through my entire high school career, I went through so many tubs of LA looks. I can't tell you. It's so bad. Oh, geez. All right. So the Getting Off Topic podcast watched 2006's Mission Impossible 3, directed by J.J. Abrams in his movie directorial debut. Written by...
But, I think that it's important to note here, though, that despite the fact that this was his directorial debut, he had been largely responsible for the success. Not largely, like he was very much responsible for the success of Felicity, Alias, and Lost by this point. So like he directed that Lost pilot, and the Lost pilot was, I think at the time, the most watched pilot ever.
Was Lost already out at that point in 06?
Yeah, 2004.
Oh, okay. All right.
September 2004.
Yeah, he routinely directed episodes of his series, Felicity and Alias. Wrote for them. He wrote other movies. Regarding Henry, I think, is the big one.
Yeah, that's the one that like launched his career.
Yeah, but yeah, so this was his movie directorial debut, written by the up and coming team: Alex Kurtzman, Roberto Orsi.
So remember last time when we said that the success of First Contact led to Mission Impossible 2? It seems like the opposite happened here, where Orky and Kurtzman wrote Mission Impossible 3 and then went on to write Star Trek.
Yeah. So
also directed by JJ.
Yeah. And JJ actually was not the original director attached to this film. Joe Carnahan actually worked on it for 15 months.
Damn.
Until he left due to creative differences.
That means that something happened. Something went wrong, because a director does not spend 15 months in pre-production on a movie just to leave right before it starts. That just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Unless like, you're fired or something.
Yeah, like major creative differences. He was actually pretty vocal about it. Like he was just not having a good time. And he said, the quote was, "I didn't want to spend another year on that movie. So when I quit probably a week before I was going to be fired." And he said to Tom Cruise, he's like, "It's your name on the poster. It's your face on the poster. You have to make this movie the way you see fit, but it's not going to work for me." So I'm out.
Yeah.
But yeah, JJ, his first movie directing. Obviously now we know him from fucking everything, Star Trek, Star Wars, all that.
Yeah.
Actually, I've read a little thing. So I'm not sure of the exact timeline if Carnahan was already out or not, but apparently at some point, some event or somewhere, Tom Cruise met with JJ, just like chatting, just shooting the shit. And Tom Cruise admitted, like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I haven't watched any of your show, any of Alias." And JJ gifted him like the first
box sets.
Yeah, the first 2 seasons on DVD, just like thinking like nothing's gonna come of it. Like, oh, he probably won't even watch them. He's fucking Tom Cruise. And then he binges them, loves them, and calls him back and says, "I want you to do my movie."
I mean, and that's not surprising at all because Mission Impossible 3 feels exactly like Alias.
It's always been on my list of I'm gonna get around to it eventually. I've never watched any of it.
It looks like Alias. It feels like Alias. Like, yeah. So like,
it looks like that's you're wavering there. It's like for better or worse, it looks and feels like.
Well, I mean, it's fine. It's just that it's too much like Alias. It feels like Alias, but just Mission Impossible instead.
Oh yeah.
They don't feel different. Like they could take place in the same universe, and I would believe you.
All I remember from Alias, from the publicity shots and commercials, was that like bright neon pink wig, like pink or reddish or something. Yeah.
It's just got this. So, real quick, I remember being a big fan of this movie when it came out. Like I saw it in theaters opening weekend, mainly because I was a huge Lost fan. Huge. And I liked Felicity, though I hadn't gone back and rewatched it until a few years later, but I caught some of it on television, and I was a mild Alias fan. And I remember thinking when I saw it that this was like really fresh and unique, and I think the action scenes are. It's so different from Mission Impossible 2.
Oh yeah.
It's like gritty and like that, like the way that Keri Russell dies is like haunting.
Yeah, that shot of her face
like
and her
eyes are like going in different directions. Like
yeah.
Oh
yeah, that fucked me up.
That was a little too much. Like
that was rough. Yeah. But it's good. I mean, it works for the scene. They hit the stakes right there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well, actually, let's go ahead and get into it. The very opening scene, JJ does his like, "I'm gonna shock you," and we open with this really intense scene, which actually jumps to the end of the movie.
It's in media res, yeah.
Yeah, and I was wondering, I was kind of split. Like, does this style choice work for you? Like, I kind of get like it adds the sense of dread over the whole story because. Like, you know that this is impending doom.
No, I don't think it works. I think it worked in 2006. It doesn't work now. I think it robs, especially since spoilers for the movie. That's the whole point of this. It doesn't add anything, especially since it turns out to be a fucking reveal. It's like it's a fake out in the first place. So like. It comes off as cheap because that moment isn't even earned.
Yeah.
It's a fake out.
Kind of agree, yeah. I mean, I get what he was going for, to give like this impending, I think to give this impending doom of like, oh shit, everything's going to go south. And then we jump back to, a few days earlier or something.
I do want to be clear here though, that like JJ filmed what was in the script. Because this type of in media res, that's not a directorial choice. Mm-hmm. That's a writing choice. So
yeah, it's definitely a Kurtzman tactic.
it's definitely a Kurtzman thing to do. I think maybe more Orky actually, but it's definitely an Orky Kurtzman thing. Like,
now the opening heavy drama shocker, this is the proto version of it. They don't stick the landing. Where they really do is Trek 09. Where in the first 10 minutes we're crying over George Kirk.
Yeah. No, I mean, the Star Trek 09 opening, I think, is probably one of the best openings to a movie that I saw in the 20th century or 21st century. Like, those first 15 minutes are just primo.
Absolutely, yeah.
And this is sort of what they were going for with that. Where Star Trek 09 has stakes in spades, this does not.
Yeah. But yeah, you whiff a few times and then you hit the home run. But
well, and I think what it comes down to is there's this tone that's very similar to Alias, and the story is that Ethan now is just a family man. He's like, he's just a normal dude living his normal life, the exact opposite of like fucking kung fu Limp Bizkit man from the second one,
the full biscuit.
Where he's like fucking got exploding sunglasses and
I did notice in we're jumping ahead a bit, but in a funeral scene that comes up towards the beginning of the movie, he still got his pretty sharp sunglasses there. That early 2000 era.
Oakley's.
Yeah. But yeah, so we're at the engagement party. Michelle Monaghan is great. Ethan Hunt is pretending to be a super dorky, like traffic controller dude. Like, it's very True Lies, like Schwarzenegger saying how much he loves the computer business. But yeah, we get who's that guy? Greg Grunberg, who is in
every fucking
the JJ stalwart. Yeah,
they're like childhood friends, right?
Yeah.
Who is he? Who is his Star Wars character in Force Awakens?
Snap Wexley.
Snap Wexley. Yeah.
Snap Wexley.
And he's X-Wing fighter pilot. The pilot of the Malaysian Airlines
on Lost.
Also,
and then he's the voice of Kirk's stepfather in Star Trek 09.
That's what I was gonna bring up. Yeah, I found that little trivia. I was like, oh, cool. But yeah, so,
and of course he was in Heroes and Alias and all that good stuff.
Yeah,
literally everything. JJ
so this part of go ahead.
Oh, what I got excited over was all of a sudden out of nowhere, holy shit, Aaron Paul is the brother-in-law.
Yeah, that's right.
And he looks he looks like he just stepped off the Breaking Bad set. He's all Jesse.
I mean, it would have been the same exact era, so you probably could have.
It would have been the beginning of Breaking Bad.
Yeah. And then we get so they're having a good time, but he gets the knowing call of like some fake like travel agency or something. He's like, oh shit, like company's calling. And we get Doc Manhattan, Billy Crudup, at the 7-Eleven. And since they were at a convenience store, they're at 7-Eleven, and this is JJ, I was wondering, is there a Slusho gonna appear on
right?
Like on a shelf somewhere or something?
Oh, but, you know what Easter egg I did notice was when he gets the postcard, it's sent to Kelvin.
Oh, no shit.
And the USS Kelvin is named after his grandfather.
Oh wow.
JJ's grandfather. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, neat. Mm-hmm. That's cool. But yeah, Billy Crudup appears and is asking him for help. We find out that Ethan is now, he hasn't completely left, he's just left the field. He's a trainer now on the sly. He gets his mission via a Kodak one-shot, which I fucking love.
Wow, when was the last time you even saw one of those in real life?
About that time.
Yeah,
I think I was still working. I think I was still working at Kmart at that time when this came out, and I would have seen them getting dropped off for people to have them developed. What year did this come out? 2006.
2006. May of 2006.
I think you were still able to buy them online, because if I remember right, Meg and I, when we were planning our wedding, which would have been 2013 to 14, we were considering for a while. We had heard people have done this like kitschy thing where you get those disposable cameras and you can still order them like online in bulk on Amazon or something, and just put them at every table at the reception so people can all take pictures and then leave them there, and then we like distribute them all out or whatever, like online later or something. Anyway, whatever. So Lindsay Ferris is the agent Keri Russell is playing. We find out she is MIA.
I love her, by the way. Like, Keri Russell is amazing. If you guys didn't watch The Americans, it is probably one of the best television shows ever made.
Another one that's on my Steve Rogers list.
Is that the one that had what's his name?
That guy.
The guy from Walking Dead.
British comedian. He does the marathons all the time.
The Izzard.
Yeah.
No,
I don't know. Was he in The Americans?
No, The Americans it's the 1980s set. Russian, like, 2 Russian spies are married in the United States pretending to be American citizens.
Okay.
But they're actually like deep cover KGB agents.
Okay.
So, it's really, 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 really good. And Keri Russell's the star.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I'll add it to the list with Mr. Robot and 50 other things that people say. Why haven't you watched this yet?
It's better than Mr. Robot.
Okay. Oh shit. Them's fighting words.
Yeah,
I mean, Mr. Robot's fine. It's good, but Americans is like incredible.
Okay. All right. So Agent Ferris is MIA. She was tracking Philip Seymour Hoffman's big bad, Owen Davian. Ving Rhames is back, which is great. We got newcomers on the team, Maggie Q and Jonathan Rhys-Meyers, super young.
I know.
What
So
happened
weird.
to him? Like, he was poised to be like the next big thing.
He was an alcoholic.
We know what we know what happened
okay.
to him. He had serious substance abuse issues.
Yeah, right around towards the end of the Tudors, I think it got really bad.
Yeah. And then he got that Dracula show. And
I actually really liked that show.
And they had to cancel it because he like kept falling off the wagon.
Yeah. Oh well. But yeah, he's a baby in here. So we get the whole Berlin mission to find Agent Ferris, which is super fun. There is a little leftover style from MI2 leaking over here. The slow-mo toss the gun over there. I saw
that, yeah.
And
that seems like it was intentional though. Like,
oh yeah, I felt like JJ's like, Keri, I'm gonna make you look so fucking cool in this scene. Like,
honestly, like during that scene, I was like, damn, Keri Russell's amazing. What?
Oh yeah,
I love you, Keri Russell.
She's badass. But yeah, seeing as all of MI2 was that, I'll forgive little style moments in this movie for sure.
Well, and what I mean is that like it seems like that was JJ literally making like a nod to the second one.
Oh, yeah, that she's just a super agent. Anyway, but she's supposed to be like a brand new, like fresh out of training. But also really good. There's a line later where Ethan is like I've trained several agents and you're the only one that I've ever approved for the field. Something. Yeah. So she's good. But yeah, the entire sequence is very JJ, action starting small and then immediately turning into this like giant circus of everything that can go wrong, does go wrong. They're trying to fly away in the chopper and then they're in this field of freaking the
wind turbines.
Yeah, the wind turbines. Yeah.
Which is totally like Germany and not just the drive from here to Vegas.
Yeah. I watched a behind the scenes video, but I can't remember where they said they filmed that.
It was here. On the way to Vegas. There's a giant wind farm on the way to Vegas.
Oh, okay. I was talking about more the building, the abandoned factory or whatever it was supposed to be.
JJ likes to shoot that type of stuff in LA or Vancouver.
Okay.
I think majority LA.
Yeah. I understand where JJ's influences come from. And this is kind of going back to what you were saying, Byron, earlier. You were really excited for the quality level of MI3. And then you're kind of like, oh, I kind of see JJ pulling all the strings because back then it felt really fresh, but now we see all of JJ's tropes. Yeah, and so we can easily point them out a bit. But these moments, these action moments, like they're fun. And I can see clearly JJ grew up like, idolizing like Spielberg and whatnot, like we did. And so he loves when that, the chaotic action scenes, it's like the Peter Griffin versus the giant chicken fights. Like it just gets so over the top and zany. And plus Michael Giacchino's score in there. It's like this big circus.
I mean, and I want to shout out to Michael Giacchino because I've always been a huge fan of his work, specifically starting on Lost. And he did this one and the next one. And I think his work on this one is more memorable. It's also more Michael Giacchino, if you know what I mean.
Because of Meg and I finally went through and binged all of Lost, and every time like a beloved character died or something terrible, tragic happened, and those fucking strings kicked up.
Yep.
And that was just programmed into my brain. So once I went and watched Star Trek 09, like, fuck, man.
His Star Trek 09 score is incredible.
Yeah, as George Kirk is sacrificing himself, like as he's on the way to fuck. I just hear that in my head sometimes and I feel the lump in my throat. Like, God damn it. I don't have to watch the scene, just hear the music.
Yeah.
Anyway. So yeah, the mission goes sideways. We get wonky-eyed dead Keri Russell.
That honestly, like, I knew it was coming, and I've tried to look away, but I still caught it, and it burned into my mind.
Yeah. And then we get back to headquarters, and Lawrence Fishburne being
out of nowhere.
Being the super dick boss.
I totally forgot that he was.
And he was amazing as the super dick boss. Like,
you're a loose cannon hunt.
Perfectly.
Yeah. He does the 80s like
drop the stack of papers.
Yeah. God damn it, you're a loose cannon hunt. All that shit. Just more sophisticated and in a suit. But we finally get Benji, Simon Pegg, joins the team, or at least he's back at headquarters as the tech.
I didn't realize how different his role in this movie was from the rest of them. He's the guy in the chair in this one. And I even think I forgot that he was in this movie.
Yeah, I remember
his role was very minor, this one.
Yeah, same. I remembered that he was in it, but I forgot he's not an official member of like the field team. He's not approved for the field. He's just like the tech whiz back at the office.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we get a very Fox Mulder speech from him about like, because this they're trying to figure out what this thing, the MacGuffin that they're after, the rabbit's foot. And he gives this very tech
anti-god
thing, the anti-god weapon. Yeah, anytime somebody's like paying this much for some sort of thing,
unknown
they're
tech.
assuming
hey Scully, it's me.
It's the anti-god weapon. So, and we don't know what the MacGuffin is, and spoiler, we never fucking find out. But as long as the audience knows it's probably really bad, that's all we need at this point.
Hey JJ, your mystery box is empty.
So Ethan goes to go back to lie again to his fiance Julia.
He may as well have just called it the MacGuffin, literally in the script. Yeah,
probably. It probably was in the early drafts, and then they just like find and replaced to Rabbit's Foot at the end of it. Yeah. So Ethan goes back to lie to his fiance and say, "Oh, I got to go out of town again." To which she appropriately calls bullshit. Like, what the no? But being the perfect, incredibly understanding woman she is, she's just like, just tell me that we're okay, like we're real and this is real and we're good. And he proves that by marrying her on the spot, which is, it's movie magic, but it's
so okay.
I eat it up.
So this part is so the special effects in this. So the main special effect in this movie
is what, Michelle Monaghan? What are you talking about?
No, what I mean is that like the like most significant special effect in this movie really doesn't work. And that special effect is making Tom Cruise seem like a normal human being. Because he doesn't seem like a normal human being. Anytime that he's interacting with his like wife, he looks like he's a robot wearing a human skin suit.
I didn't want to get too like snarky and crass. Like I wanted to just enjoy the movie for what it is. But in the very early scene, the engagement party scenes where he's talking to Greg Grunberg and BSing like, oh yeah, I study traffic patterns, blah, 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 blah. He does have this look in his eyes that is
like
so intense.
Like he's a lizard person.
It's so intense that in the back of my head, I'm like, is this his like, that's the passionate look when he talks about Scientology to people or something? Like, I don't know.
So like, and this was any time that he's like talking to her, and when he's like marrying her, he's like holding her head. And what I'm really imagining, he's actually imagining what her brains taste like.
Oh man. Well, no, I think Michelle Monaghan sells it. She's sweet.
No, she sells it, and the other thing is that like it's only when he's trying to act normal. And if you remember, this is like right around the time that the Trapped in the Closet came out, and it's around the same time that he was jumping on the couches.
Couch.
Yeah. And so this is the period of time when like the public was like really clued into the fact that he was like sort of a crazy person. And I think he was a little unhinged. Like maybe his like alpha waves were like peaking too high on whatever machine they used to check that shit.
And also maybe this is just the extent of his acting ability. Like in his head, maybe he's going like, okay, I have to be a secret agent who's trying to convincingly hold back the truth from, my loved one. And so he just tries to be aloof, but it just comes off as just crazy eyes. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and something that I noticed specifically is that in the next movie, I had no qualms with his acting whatsoever.
Yeah, it's great. It's fine. I don't know.
And when he's doing action stuff, he
wasn't trying to be personable. He wasn't trying to interact with people. It was just actiony all the way through.
And that's and the same thing about this movie is that whenever he's doing action stuff, I believe it. It's just, when he's trying to talk to human beings that I call bullshit.
Okay. All right, we got to move on. So we get to the main or the initial heist. We're going to kidnap Davian while he's trying to sell his weapon at the frickin' Vatican. The fake fight in Italian is kind of hilarious. Him and Jonathan Rhys-Meyers, they're pretending to be some sort of maintenance people in a van or something, and they stop traffic on the freeway, like fake that the van broke down. And it's like they are fighting in actual Italian, but it's so
because you can tell they're moving their hands so much.
Yeah, again, Family Guy. It's just like boppity boopy, boppity boopity boppity bop. It's so bad. But anyway, we get him going over the wall, the Vatican wall, with the spread eagle zipline maneuver, because they have to pay tribute to that now in every movie. We get to see.
I mean, the first movie was built around that gag, that one gag.
Yeah. And as we experienced with The Force Awakens, JJ loves to revisit a lot of stuff. We get to see a face mask being made for the first time with the scan from a makeup mirror, scanning Philip Seymour Hoffman's face, and then sort of like high-tech instant sculpting, like laser sculpting thing. Pre-3D printing, I guess. There's some funny conversation with Luther, Ving Rhames, hammering Ethan about how relationships don't work for people like them and how he's going to mess up this girl's life, et cetera, et cetera. And then it ends with Ethan telling him, like, by the way, we got married 2 days ago. And so all he could say is just like, congratulations. And this is actually, I think this is where JJ really shines, or at least this is where we see JJ's style. He has these sequences like where he very directly moves the plot forward, showing Ethan getting his disguise together and the rest of their preparations and stuff, while at the same time paralleling, like continuing the character arc, the relationship convo happening over all this action, and both threads meet at the end of the scene as a button where, you know, face mask is on and we got married. Congratulations. But yeah. Oh, and we also get the once they kidnapped or once he knocks down Philip Seymour Hoffman in the bathroom, we get the how the voice modulation works. Like they need a sample from him.
Oh yeah,
reading off that weird limerick or something.
Yeah,
and it gets coded in the computer. Yeah. But yeah, they do that, and a minute later, we're blowing up Lamborghinis and speedboating away with sunglasses. Again, we're giving the flashy, styling moments a pass in this, you know, versus the last movie. Oh, I actually read a bit of interesting trivia. At the time of this filming, Maggie Q, who's behind the wheel on a Lamborghini, she did not have a driver's license. She actually had never driven a car.
Really?
And then just go ahead and put her behind the wheel of a fucking Lamborghini.
Put her behind the wheel of a Lamborghini, and she actually had a small collision on one take where her spiked heel got stuck on the pedal, and she ran into another parked car on the set.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
That was probably a pretty expensive.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, it's a Lamborghini, so that's at least a minimum of $100,000 repair.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they end up blowing up in that Lamborghini too. Anyway, so now we've captured Philip Seymour Hoffman, Davian, and we get the plane scene with him and Ethan measuring dicks. And
by the way, Philip Seymour Hoffman is just a treasure.
Yeah, he really played a great bad guy, and the reason why I say this is because I really can't fucking stand the character. Like, especially in this scene, he is just such a smug fucking bad guy. His whole like, I'm gonna find her, I'm gonna kill her, and that weird like almost Buffalo Bill voice. It really hit like, I'm gonna find her, I'm gonna kill her,
and I'm gonna hurt her.
You're size 14. But yeah, anyway, so they do that whole bit. They decode dead Lindsay's message on the micro dot thing. And it's her saying that Lawrence Fishburne's character, Brassel, Dick Boss Supreme character, apparently there were some call records between him and Davian. So it looks like they were working together and she was set up or something's happening there. And then boom, immediately explosions, drone strike on the bridge, commandos coming in by helicopter to free Davian. They put like the stuff on the side of his prison transport thing to crack it open or something. Drone comes back around for Ethan.
They use scrubbing bubbles.
Scrubbing bubbles, yeah. It works wonders. Ethan runs back to the overturned van to grab a rifle, and we get the cool shot from the trailer with the second drone strike knocking him against a car. But in retrospect, the physics of that don't make sense. Like the explosion is directly behind him, and he gets flung
this way,
sideways, against the car. But whatever, it still looks kind of cool. He does the leap of faith across the bridge, barely making it to the other side, but of course it's too late. Davian's safely away on the helicopter. And immediately he calls home to check on Julia because of the threat, you know. And Aaron Paul is there to go, yo, Mr. White. But
it wasn't out of beans, yo.
Yep. And of course, Julia gets kidnapped by what appears to be a lost beetle. Like some English dude with the frickin'
what?
What was that choice? Why? Whatever. But and then immediately he's gone. Ethan gets the call from Davian saying he's got her. He's got, I forget if it was 24 or 48 hours to deliver the rabbit's foot, which we still have no idea what it is. And then and then the IMF comes back, detains Ethan, like weirdly full-blown Hannibal Lecter style with that.
Yeah, with the face mask thing.
I guess, yeah, because he's dangerous. But because he fled the bridge disaster and Fishburne still is not clear what the hell's going on. And we're not still sure. We don't have any answers for him if he's actually a traitor or not, what the hell's happening. But yeah, I'm just assuming at this point he's detaining Ethan because he's being the asshole boss. Like, I don't know what's going on here, but like you fled the scene and like Davian's on the loose and blah 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 blah. And Billy Crudup thankfully comes in to help get him out of there. And at this point, I didn't remember the rest of the movie at this point. It's been so long since I've seen it. So I was like, at this point, I'm guessing like, Billy Crudup, he's like the straight-laced company man who usually turns out to be a traitor in these movies. So, but now he's helping him. So I'm like, I hope they're gonna like surprise me and he's actually a legitimate, decent dude.
Well, so you know what I noticed? It's almost the exact same role that Colin Farrell's character plays in Minority Report.
Yeah.
Except in Minority Report, he doesn't turn out to be a traitor, but he does turn out to get shot. And I wasn't sure if it was going that way and then I remembered.
Yeah, he's either the straight-laced company man, but actually a traitor, or he is the legit straight-laced company man, just being a thorn in our hero's side because he's trying to do things by the book, and then usually ends up in the line of fire.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Ethan escapes, the team meets up, they get to China, where the rabbit's foot is apparently being held in some random office building, secure building, whatever. Doesn't matter, it's some secure place, and they're going to break in by doing some crazy zip line maneuver onto the roof, which is pretty typical and kind of repetitive for these movies when you see them back to back. But that said, it was kind of fun and refreshing, the different take on it this time. Like, we don't even bother with what happens on the inside. You just see the entry and then like, oh shit, gotta go, and bust in through the window. And then we get a fun True Lies bit where he gets propelled into another building and like surprising some janitor.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Oh, yeah. Because he's got the rabbit foot at that point.
Yeah, he's got it, and he's just trying to escape. And he
jumps out. I can't make the roof.
Yeah. He's still got the parachute attached to him, so that's flinging him back out the window. Maggie Q and Jonathan Rhys Meyers, who are proving to be a solid B squad in this movie, not so throwaway like the tech guy in MI2.
Yeah, who I completely forgot.
Yeah, the take a look around guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't get to know them much, but they get plenty to like do through the movie, and they're really helping the whole.
She gets to tell a story about her cat.
A story about her cat, yeah. By the way, Meg's here. Hey.
Hello.
Hi, Meg.
Okay, she's gonna go do her thing. So yeah, where does that leave us? Oh yeah, the clock's ticking. They're being chased by, whatever that security was, but of course they can't get a signal in time to call Davian and say like, "Don't kill her, I've got the shit." Big chase scene. They of course make the call with like 5 seconds to spare. And at this point we see actually the container, the rabbit's foot, is some sort of biohazard weapon thing. It's
Chimera Part 2.
It's like a Turtles 2 Secret of the Ooze, like TGRI container, but see-through with the big biohazard sign on there. So it's not the anti-god tech thing, it's a bioweapon. So MI2 again, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I said. Chimera Volume 2.
Chimera Volume 2, yeah, another super virus maybe. So Ethan goes to meet up and deliver. Of course, he gets drugged, wakes up in a chair, which brings us back to the opening scene of the movie. And Davian demanding to know where the rabbit's foot is, which is confusing because he just delivered it, but apparently not. And he counts down, doesn't listen to anything, just fucking shoots Julia. But surprise, Billy Crudup, Musgrave, actually his name of his character.
Well, wait, before that though, when he shoots Julia, turns out it was a mask.
Well, Musgrave comes out and does that, peels that, he rips it off of her, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And tries to explain, his reasoning that he wants to collaborate with Davian instead of locking him up, because by just arresting the bad guys, more bad guys just keep popping up. So we'd rather collaborate with him to be more efficient at stopping bad guys. That fucking doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any fucking sense whatsoever.
Not a damn lick of sense at all. But
it is the quintessential Kurtzman and Orky maneuvering the plot to serve their story needs.
Yeah. So, but yeah, and then rips it off. By the way, it's not Julia they just killed, just Davian's head of security who failed him at the Vatican. So Musgrave's whole thing is he wants to know, like, am I compromised? What was in Lindsay's message? He made it seem as though it was Lawrence Fishburne's character that was the traitor, but whatever. Doesn't matter. Ethan knocks him out, escapes, calls Benji to get Julia's location from the last phone call, which is like a mile away. So it's Tom Cruise running time because you got to have.
There's so much fucking Tom Cruise running in this movie.
So much running. Yeah.
It's at least 20 minutes of the movie. It's just him running.
Yeah, right about. But we get the final showdown with actual Julia tied up. And then Davian activates the bomb in Ethan's head, and which is kind of the only way we can believe Philip Seymour Hoffman beating Tom Cruise's ass, as if he's suffering from a bomb in his head at the time, giving him like a debilitating migraine. But yeah, so they fight, and like the power of love gets Ethan up and fighting enough, and sends Davian out into traffic, and then it's like it's the split second. Hi, honey, I'm a spy. This is how a gun works.
Wait. You forgot the way that he goes out.
Oh, getting hit by the.
Yeah, he gets smashed in the face by a truck that is on top while he's on top of Ethan. Yeah, and the truck, and he like goes underneath it, and it's like fucking like Daffy Duck or like Looney Tunes shit.
It's very similar to the end of Speed. On top of the subway car. Yeah, but I'm taller. God bless Speed.
The bus that couldn't slow down.
But yeah, we get and again, kudos to Michelle Monaghan for really selling it. This whole sequence of like, hi honey, I'm a spy, like here's a gun, this is how it works. Now, shoot at the bad guys if they come in, and by the way, you need to kill me and then immediately revive me. And that whole thing plays out pretty well, although it's pretty convenient how the bad guys just kind of lurch in like zombies, like perfect targets for her to spend a whole clip to get them. But anyway, and then Billy Crudup comes in. I cracked up at this because he comes in and she shoots him, and he has the most surprised and like betrayed look on his face. Like he looks like a guy who just stumbled in asking him where the bathroom was, and then he gets shot. Like, hey, and falls over, and then drops the rabbit's foot thing. Yeah, again, kudos to Michelle Monaghan. She really sells it, like trying to revive him, and of course does. And pretty much it. Revives him in the nick of time. Happy ending. We get a nice jab in their afterward conversation where this film series finally recognizes the full name of the organization. Where he's like, yeah, I work for this
Impossible Mission Force
organization called IMF. What's that stand for? Impossible Mission Force. She starts laughing like, you're kidding me. Seriously. Lawrence Fishburne, Brassel, whatever, he gets gives Ethan a nice thank you and sorry for putting you through the ringer. Hope you're not thinking about quitting. He's like, I'm thinking about going on my honeymoon. And by the way, what is the rabbit's foot? He's like, promise you'll stay and I tell you. And then, smiles, wink and nod, and just walk away. That's it. We're never gonna know.
He offers him a job and he says, what is the job? And he didn't ask him what's the rabbit's foot.
No, he does.
No, he did. He asked him what the rabbit foot is.
Yeah, and he says, promise you'll stay and I'll tell you.
Yeah, and then he's like,
they just leave it at that.
Yeah, nah, bruh.
Because the MacGuffin don't matter. But yeah. And then we get a quick little montage with Julia getting to meet the team and like, okay, take your wife to work day. And then they're out the door, presumably with Ethan maybe retiring, but of course they leave things open, and the end. And then we know, more movies come, so obviously he didn't retire. But yeah, so solid. Not quite the masterpiece that you're remembering, Byron.
I think it was just it came out at a time when I think it was just a lot better than the second one.
Yeah. I will agree.
I liked I was really into J.J. Abrams stuff at the time, mainly because of Lost. And so I think all of the pieces felt, but like in retrospect, it came out the same year as Casino Royale. And I think Casino Royale like is way better.
It did everything Mission Impossible wanted to do and better.
Yeah. But I also like, it was around the same time as the Bourne movies, and I've never been a huge fan of the Bourne movies. They're fine, but I think
Paul Greengrass fucking shaky cams way too goddamn much. If the Bourne movies had like 50% less shaky cam, they'd be fine.
I guess my issues with the Bourne movies is that they take themselves too seriously in a movie format that is inherently absurd. So taking yourself too seriously is sort of like the antithesis of what these types of movies are about. And I think it's why this one does sort of the similar thing in that it takes itself a little too serious and ends up the worse for it, where the next one, and we'll see, and I'll talk about part of it, but that's why the Ghost Protocol succeeds, is that it doesn't do that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And this is coming from someone who like for a long time was like really into self-serious movies in this style, but now I like I don't know, I don't really that's why I watch serious movies.
I think we all are, especially in our teens and early 20s, like everything so important and special. And
yeah, like Dark Knight was like so revelatory, and now I'm just like, Batman Begins is better than Dark Knight.
Everybody has a semester of film class, and then thinks
exactly
they know everything.
Exactly. They want their superhero men in capes to have Nietzschean quotes surrounding them.
Yeah. And then we grow up and just want to relax and fucking have fun.
Yeah, exactly.
So
well, and the desire to have the sense of I'm looking more for the sense of my suspension of disbelief. That's what I'm looking for more at this point. Like, and when you have a self-serious movie like Mission Impossible 3, it actually takes more suspension of disbelief if you're grounding it more in the real world. Because your brain is now paying attention to the details that it wouldn't in a more sort of lighthearted universe.
Yeah, for sure. Well, no time to waste. We get a move on over to Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol 2011. So it still took a while for this one.
5 years.
AKA
10 years ago.
AKA promotional investment for the Burj Khalifa.
Yeah. But this one, we were just talking about, having more fun with it. Directed by Brad Bird.
Brad Bird, yeah. Wasn't it his live action directorial debut?
Yeah. Writer director of Iron Giant, The Incredibles, Ratatouille.
He started as a director on The Simpsons way back in the early 90s.
Yeah. So
he went to CalArts. He went to CalArts.
Oh shit. Brad Bird directing, this time written by newcomers to the franchise, Josh Applebaum and Andre Nemec. I'm not familiar with them at all.
Yes. However, I think it's very important to note that there was a huge rewrite by Christopher McQuarrie.
Oh.
That's why this movie is so good.
Got it.
It's because
Okay.
it's Brad Bird and Christopher McQuarrie. Christopher
Gotcha.
McQuarrie wrote The Usual Suspects. He's like the go-to screenwriter for like he was a major script doctor in the 90s, and pretty much all of your favorite movies were rewritten by him.
Yeah. And then he takes over the franchise from here on out.
Yeah, exactly.
5 and 6
with the next one.
Yeah. So let's get into it. We kick it off straight into the action with Sawyer from Lost.
Yep. And this, I mean, we also have to note that this one was also, it was a Bad Robot production produced by J.J. Abrams.
Yeah. So Josh Holloway as Agent Holloway, that's funny, who lasts about 30 seconds before he's killed by a random lady assassin who takes away whatever he was trying to steal.
So really, real quick though, I want even from the opening shot of this movie, you can tell it's a much more recent film because it has that look that 2000s movies have, or like 2010s movies have.
Yeah, we're getting definitely more modern. Yeah. So yeah, he bites the dust pretty fast, and we jump over to a Moscow prison where Benji's back, yay, out in the tech van, and he and newcomer Agent Jane Carter, no relation to Peggy or Sharon as far as I know, played by Paula Patton, who is rad in this movie, and they're breaking Ethan out. There's some funny stuff with Benji arguing with him over the security cameras, like open this door and like no, go this way and blah blah blah. But he's trying to get his little Russian buddy out of there, who apparently was like feeding him intel, and so he's thanking him by getting him out of there. But we've already have a mystery which extends through most of the movie. Ethan is in prison for some reason, and Julia, his wife, is nowhere to be found. Going back really quick to Simon Pegg, I read some funny trivia. So after Shaun of the Dead hit big in 2004, Simon Pegg was asked by a journalist, so now that you have this like big blockbuster movie, like has England become too small for you now in the acting world or whatever? Simon Pegg responds with something like, "It's not like I'm going to be starring in Mission Impossible 3." And then 6 months later, he gets cast in Mission Impossible 3, and then the rest of the franchise. Yeah. So yeah, Benji passed the field exam, so he is a full member of the team now. And it's hilarious because he's like super excited and neurotic, and like as they're going through the next stage of the mission is the Kremlin.
Well, and this is like after Mission Impossible 3, he did. So this is also after Star Trek 09 for him too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is only 2 years later.
Yep.
So Simon Pegg is like a bona fide action hero now.
Oh yeah. So Ethan is saying like, oh, well, why did they break me out? They would only break me out if they need me for something. And then Agent Carter, Jane, she gives a backstory about the mission that went south with I'm just going to call him Sawyer from Lost. Agent Hanaway, yeah. So he was trying to recover Russian nuclear codes, then was ambushed by the assassin lady, Sabine Moreau, played by Léa Seydoux. Léa Seydoux, yeah, French actress. I didn't really recognize her, but I guess she's been in Inglourious Bastards, Midnight in Paris, Grand Budapest Hotel.
She's been a fuck ton of things.
Oh, in the last 2 Bond movies. Spectre and the new one, No Time to Die. Yeah. So
when does No Time to Die come out?
Who the fuck knows? That's been like delayed so many times.
Yeah. Oh well. So she's going to be selling these nuke codes to a mysterious person the IMF has been tracking, codenamed Cobalt. Oh yeah, and Carter and Hanaway clearly had a thing, so it's personal. But we get the full mission brief at an old payphone. There's a funny little bit and a nod where it actually fails to explode, so he has to go back there and knock it. And then
One thing I want to mention about like Brad Bird's direction in this film, and something that I noticed throughout it, is that so Brad Bird is someone who comes from the world of like animation and story and like distinct storytelling. So like this movie has a flow to it that is unlike any of the other movies, in that there's always something visual happening that is interesting in and of itself. Like
Yeah.
the way that the action flows together, and like you can tell that the storyboards for this film were like very tightly followed. Like there's a scene later on when he's something is being blocked by a fountain, and then the camera like moves slowly to the left, and the information is seen behind what was it was the fountain was obscuring it, and then it moves towards it, and it's all in one camera movement, and it conveys the story of the scene through the camera movement, and it was brilliant. I was like, wow, that is some like incredible directing. And then later on, when the little eye scanner thing has popped out of the moving train, in any other movie that would have just been they have to get on the train, but now they have to get on the train while scanning their eyes, so there's always some sort of visceral movement happening in context with something else. So Brad Bird is constantly like keeping our interest by keeping the frame moving, but not arbitrarily. It's always very, very, very intentional.
Very specific and creative, inventive action sequences, which you remember, oh yeah, it's the creator of The Incredibles. So that
exactly. and it makes sense, because in animation, you can't go like you have to plan these cells out months ahead. And modern movies are sort of similar, but they're a little bit more free flow than that. So it just has a very much more fluid sense of dynamism than the last few movies have.
Yeah. So they need to break into the Kremlin to get something. I don't even remember at this point. Something out of the archives. So Benji and Ethan go in disguised as Russian officers. Lots of Simon Pegg being Simon Pegg, which is great. Starts to allude to the oh, I'm sorry, but you and Julia didn't work out, or something. He doesn't even know exactly what happened, but obviously she's not around. So we get a pretty cool new gadget, the most advanced YouTuber backdrop in the world, which
right, I saw that.
which lets them hide in plain sight in the hallway. And Ethan gets the archive room. What he's looking for has already been taken. Big Bad, we get introduced to him. He's holding the bag and actually goes live on the radio, basically outing their operation. So everything goes crazy on lockdown. They got to get the hell out of there and abort. And next thing you know, boom, explosion takes out a portion of the Kremlin. And
which would be like the Pentagon and the White House being bombed.
Yeah, for sure. Big business here. The big bad, by the way, actor Michael Nyqvist. Sure I'm saying that right. Swedish actor. I knew him from somewhere. It finally hit me. He is the head Russian mob boss in John Wick, the first one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fucking pencil.
Fucking pencil, yeah. So Ethan wakes up in a hospital, cuffed to the gurney. KGB man comes along and is pinning the bombing on him. It was actually there's a fun little scene with them kind of building rapport where he's tries to escape on the balcony or on the edge of the building, realizes he's got nowhere to go, and the guy's just like having a smoke, like, go ahead, try it. Like, you want to jump? Give it a shot. But then of course he gets away and is on the move. We cut to the big bad terrorizing a little Russian family in their home. Like, obviously some guy who he needs for some reason. I'm assuming like a nuclear scientist of some sort or whatever. He just breaks in as like, we have work to do. Very, very Walter White, like, let's cook.
He knows where all the nuclear vessels are.
Vessels, yeah. Alameda. Ethan meets up with the IMF secretary, Tom Wilkinson. Another big name.
I totally forgot he was in this movie too. Like,
yeah. And again, it's often like 2 minutes, but
yeah.
But him and Jeremy Renner, Hawkeye himself. as
and this is before Avengers. I
Avengers was
think
the
it
next
was
year, 2012.
yeah.
I think this is before Born Identity, isn't it? Or
Yeah,
the
yeah. Because
Oh
that was
yeah,
like 2013, I think.
yeah.
And it was even before I think he was in Thor. Because I don't think Thor had been released yet.
I forget. It
Because
might have been the
Thor, I
same
think, was
year.
late 2011.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, so yeah, he's chief analyst William Brandt. He IDs the big bad as Kurt Hendricks, former Swedish Special Forces, blah blah blah. He's a crazy guy with nukes, or wants a nuke. Ethan's like, why don't you like tell the Russians about him? Like the Russians won't listen to their warnings because, as far as they're concerned, the Americans just bombed the frickin' Kremlin. And specifically, IMF is to blame. So the president has enacted, title of the movie, Ghost Protocol.
dun dun dun.
Which
Oh,
means
by the way, Thor came out like 6 months before this did. So Jeremy Renner had just been like, we had just seen him as Hawkeye, and now he's in this.
Barely for like a hot minute, yeah. So yeah, Ghost Protocol, which means the entire IMF is now disavowed. Ethan will be. Oh, and Tom Wilkinson plays this really nice. It's fun where he basically says, "Oh, you're going to be sent back to Washington, labeled an extremist." That is, unless, of course, you can assault me and Brandt here and escape somewhere between here and the airport. And basically hands them. He's like, "We know how this goes. Like, go."
And I love how Brandt is like, sir, what?
Yeah, Jeremy Renner does a good job of that, like being the
nerdy analyst guy.
Yeah, the butt of the joke. Like, wait, what's happening now? Yeah. But yeah, so and then the Russians catch up with them. Car goes in the freaking river. The secretary's dead. Ethan and Brandt escape. Rendezvous at the train car with Benji and Jane. We get some more info on Hendrix, Cobalt, whatever, the big bad. So now, so what's we've covered the wacky villain logic in the last movie. Wacky villain logic for this movie is he basically thinks the world should have nuclear war to, like, as part of the natural life cycle of civilization and level the playing field. I guess that, did I get that right? I don't know. Yeah, somehow he's going to save the world by destroying it and making things start fresh or some, I don't know. And we also find out
those that come out of it will be hardened.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, because they'll be like Fallout mutants, right? They'll be
super mutants.
Yeah, they'll be super mutants. Yeah. And then we find out our next mission point. He's sending his associate, Wistrom, which I heard that I kept saying Wistrom, and I hear in my head Professor Farnsworth going Wernstrom. But he's gonna buy the launch codes off of the lady assassin lady. And where are they gonna do it? In Dubai for some reason. What is the reason? So Tom Cruise can climb the tallest building on Earth. That is why. That is why Dubai.
Also, it just had opened at that point, and they really needed advertising for that.
Yeah. So, so some trivia behind that. So of course, this is the big stunt for this movie. To prepare for this scene, the team built a replica part of the building, like this huge climbing wall on a set in Prague. They even used like giant hot lights to heat up the wall as Tom Cruise was climbing up it, so he could get comfortable with like matching the temperature it was going to be in Dubai when he did this for real. Yeah. Yeah. And as where was it? I had a quote from the stunt coordinator somewhere. But yeah, they did all the rehearsing in Prague, and they never had any time to rehearse anything actually in Dubai. So when the day came, it's just like, oh, this is the real filming. Yeah, for the final cut. The stunt coordinator, Greg Smers, he said it was kind of like a military operation where they can't, practice where they're going to go in and like rescue hostages or something. So they just had to build this replica, do everything here, and then just go in and do the thing for real. But yeah.
And that sequence was shot in IMAX, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think I remember that.
Yeah,
and I was remembering that as I was watching, because I was watching this on my laptop, and I was like, man, this would be great in IMAX. Oh yeah, I think they did advertise a lot that they filmed that.
Well, and I read that part of the reason that Brad Bird wanted to shoot this in IMAX, other than he had watched The Dark Knight a couple of years prior, was that 3D was really big at the time, and he didn't want to shoot in 3D, and because he thought that IMAX would be more immersive than 3D would be. And yeah, I get it.
Yeah, for sure. So during this whole sequence, the Tom Cruise, he has that moment where the right glove fails.
Oh yeah.
And he has to fall like a couple stories. So apparently, according to the producer, Tom Peitzman, he was saying that whole sequence was done like on the actual building. And of course, they had like stunt rigging for him that they CG out in the computer and everything. But Tom Cruise was so adamant to do that particular, like the fall, which is like 2.5 stories or something like that, over and over again, because he was like, I'm not getting the timing right. Like I can do a better take. So again, just more stories like
Tom Cruise has a fucking death wish, man. Like,
oh yeah, he does.
Yeah.
He really wants to go see Lord Zeno.
So yeah, again, the producers being like, God, like he was giving us a heart attack just because he wanted to do it again and again. He's literally falling 2.5 stories on the side of this fucking building. Also, when they filmed,
that's 130 stories up.
Yeah, and he was actually only about halfway up the building when they filmed. But
okay.
for comparison, that's still just about as high as the Empire State Building. Empire State Building is.
Hey, well, at least if he fell, they'd have enough time to catch him.
Yeah. So the Empire State Building is roughly just over 1,400 feet, 443 meters. The Burj Khalifa, 829 meters, or 2,722 feet.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, and I had a note here. Okay, I give him a lot of shit for, his insane hubris and death wish, but this is where, like you were saying, like the Tom Cruise's acting is a lot better. He does a great job at those like everyman moments. Like even though the character of Ethan, like he's done some crazy shit up to this point, and I think it actually works a lot better now.
That moment where he's like, "You think?"
Yeah, Simon Pegg. Oh,
that works really well.
So Simon Pegg, is now the super enthusiastic tech guy out in the field, and he's like, he doesn't see the problem. He's like, yeah, we got the gloves, you got the tech, like you're ready, like go on, like clock's ticking. And Ethan has to sit there like, fuck. Like,
yeah, looking at like, wait, we're doing this now? We're doing it, like, fuck it, let's do it live.
Stalling, looking at his gloves like at the window of nothing, just like, all right, shit. And then and then when he it's when he has to rappel back down because they can't get the elevator open. So he has to rappel back down. He can't get all the way back down. And Jeremy Renner, again, also fun as the analyst who's like pretty much lost in the field. Like he doesn't have a job to do. So he's just like, he's the helper, as Benji says. So he's like counting down 25 minutes till the door knock, 24 minutes. You're not helping. And then when he rappels down, like, your line's not long enough. Yeah, no shit.
No, that moment, I don't know why it worked so well for me. It just like, it felt really more human than Ethan. Because I mean, Ethan in the last few movies has been like sort of weird and robotic and cold with not a lot of like human emotion behind him. And in this one, it like the exact, I think there were probably a lot of notes from the studio for Tom Cruise from the last few movies, especially the last one.
Be like, more human.
Yeah, like try to get your face on correct in this scene.
Well, again, I think
Edgar, your skin's hanging off your bones.
This might be kind of similar to well, we touched on this before with the first movie, how I really appreciate, and it's the style with a lot of older action movies where the heroes feel more human, and the action, the over the top antics are much more earned, slowly but surely. You know, they have to work up to that, as opposed to being like a completely impenetrable superhero or whatever. And maybe after Tom Cruise got a lot of clout following the first movie's success, maybe that's where they, you know, went a bit overboard and bonkers with number 2 and even a little bit in number 3. But this seems to be coming back around to humanizing him a lot more. Just be like, he's just a guy like barely making it out alive every time, you know?
Yeah.
So, and again, the character dynamics now are a lot better with Benji being in the field, so he can play off. Tom Cruise gets to do a lot more of the really good straight man comedy, playing off against, bouncing off Simon Pegg.
And that's something that I noticed in this one, is that it's a lot more lighthearted, despite the like specter of nuclear Armageddon.
Yeah.
Like there's little like jokey moments in almost every scene that serve to lighten not the tension necessarily, because the tension is actually very high.
Yeah.
But the mood.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's not ever like, I thought it got a little too jokey with the Mumbai romance of the like billionaire guy.
Oh yeah, that cartoon character.
Yeah, that was getting a little too broad for me.
We'll get to that. Yeah. But yeah, so moving the plot along, plot gets a bit wonky from here on out, but we get this double fake out meeting that they're doing, with half the team meeting with the seller, half the team meeting with the buyer, to make it look like everything is a smooth transaction. But then the Russian family man guy is forced there he's the verifier of the nuclear codes. He can confirm they're legit. So then they're like, fuck, we have to give him actual codes, not fake ones like we were planning. And long story short, they almost get away with it until the lady assassin realizes that shit ain't right. Catches a glimpse of the little camera lens that Jeremy Renner.
So the one thing about this lady assassin that I noticed is that she looks remarkably like T-Swift.
Yeah. Could be her little sister or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Quick fist fight happens and they're getting out of there. And this is the first point where we see, Brandt isn't just some helpless analyst. Like, he's got moves. Like, he like takes
because he disarms that gun in like one swift movement. You know?
Yeah, and so him and Ethan share that look like, we are gonna need to talk about this.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have words.
Yeah. Lady assassin, Moreau, she's on her way out the door. Jane grabs her. They've got her captive for a hot minute, but Wernstrom has the nuke codes. Moreau gets the drop on Benji, so Jane gets to beat her ass and knock her out the fucking window, which is very satisfying. This is for Sawyer. And now it's time for Tom Cruise to outrun a sandstorm. Now, to be fair, he doesn't actually outrun.
One thing that happened is that so they bought out one of the mask makers from the second movie, or from the third movie. And then the mask maker fails, yeah, like in the middle, so they have to do that whole like meeting thing, just sans masks. And I thought a line that that Peg had that was good was like, I'm not exactly Omar Sharif. I'll play it French.
Yeah, that was good, yeah.
And then he comes in with a French accent. But I think
that's funny, through the movie, he was so excited that he was in the field. He's like, "Can we wear masks? Oh, I want to wear a mask."
Well, and then that's the thing, is that like in this movie, there are no masks that get used.
Yeah, so only one.
Yeah,
only one by the bad guy. Yeah.
By the bad guy. Yeah, and
that's coming right up here. So they do the sandstorm chase. Which is actually pretty cool. I just like the whole aesthetic of it. All of a sudden it felt like, we're in an Uncharted game.
Yeah, that was one of the best gimmicks from that film.
Yeah, it was really cool. But so they have that weird, crazy blind car chase, and then the one Scooby-Doo mask reveal, the villain getting away. And at first I thought, well, this is pointless. Like, so it was the big bad all along instead of the big bad's associate. Who cares? but I guess it was kind of a big deal because if they knew it was him all along, they could have just apprehended him, and that would be that. Because their whole argument was,
yeah, I was actually pretty confused about this sequence.
yeah,
I didn't understand when he pulled off his mask. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Wait.
So the argument was they still had to go along with the plan and let the exchange
happen. That's why they gave them the real nuclear codes, not the fake ones.
Yeah, because if they just apprehended the big bad's associate, the big bad
would come back. Would come back some other day.
Yeah, he'll just come back another day. But if they actually knew it was him there, well, shit, they could have just killed him right there or just apprehended their end of story. But anyway, so yeah, it feels like a useless. Like we have to have it. The studio is probably like, we have to have at least one mask reveal, like one mask in the movie. It's Mission Impossible.
And I wonder if that was something that like Brad Bird said, like, I don't like the masks. I'm not doing masks or something. That feels like the type of thing a director would be like, I'm not going to do masks. Masks are silly.
Well, it's good that they.
But then they've got him floating in midair in a giant like computer motherboard later.
Yeah. I completely forgot about that whole.
That whole sequence is so goofy and like maybe a little too goofy, but
yeah. So anyway, before we get to Mumbai, they're back like licking their wounds basically in some hideout. Ethan confronts Brandt about who he is. He still won't give a word. And meanwhile, Ethan's been calling some mysterious friend for help. He goes off to meet them. And here's a rabbit hole that I didn't expect that I was going to dive into. So he is greeted by a henchman on a boat. Do you know who that henchman is? He is the same. It's not just same actor, the same actual character in the Mission Impossible universe. He was one of Max's henchmen in the first film. Yeah, that freaking Vigo the Carpathian looking dude with the long blonde hair.
Oh, okay. So I saw that dude and I was like, hey, the camera is lingering on this guy like longer than normal. Yeah. I feel like I should know who he is, but I have no clue who this person is.
So he's still in the arms dealer henchman game. He's just working for somebody.
It's literally the same character.
Literally the same character. And I had to look it up because I was like, what? And it's like, it's true. It was it's the exact same character. He's just like moved on to another arms dealer now.
He's got to be like a stunt coordinator or something.
And he kind of like, they have a knowing look. They recognize each other and he hands him the exact same looking mask, shroud to put over his head to meet the arms dealer as in the first film when he goes to meet Max. It's like, if you look, yeah,
that's it's the same so thing. Bizarre.
So here's
did they think that anyone but like the most hardcore Mission Impossible fan was going to know that?
I don't know. Whatever. Maybe they just like that actor.
Because like, hey, I literally just watched that movie last week and I didn't figure that out.
Yeah. So the actor, Andreas Wisniewski, German actor, and actually started out as a dancer, and then decided to pursue acting instead, and then ends up being villainous henchman in a bunch of movies, the 80s and 90s. He was actually, the character's name is Tony. He was the first terrorist to die in Die Hard. He's a sweater wearing dude.
Oh, really?
Now I've got a machine gun. Ho, ho, ho. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's him.
I know that guy.
Yeah, just with short hair and Die
Hard. I was probably more likely to pick him out from that than the first Mission Impossible movie.
Yeah. If you're a fan of the classic Bond movies, he was also the hitman Necros in The Living Daylights, which was the first of Timothy Dalton's Bond movies. That was
the first gritty reboot of James Bond.
Yeah. And actually, I joked about him looking like Vigo the Carpathian. He's not the same actor as Vigo. However, the actual Vigo actor is another German actor named Willem von Homburg, who is also a terrorist in Die Hard.
Yeah.
So they were in there together. Anyway.
Aren't they brothers in Die Hard? I think they're supposed to be brothers.
Not him. He's supposed to be the brother of another one, a thinner.
Okay.
Big.
But
dude.
There are brothers. I'm not making that up. There are brothers in Die Hard, right? Like,
yeah. For a second, I thought the same thing too. But Willem von Homburg, he's another kind of one of the no-name guys in the back.
Also, Willem von Homburg is nuts.
Yeah,
the dude is like straight up like mentally unwell. In fact, I think he's dead now. But he's like crazy, like real crazy.
Yeah. So I read. Anyway, so back in the Ethan goes and meets that guy. We flash back to the hideout. Brant starts telling his story to Carter and Benji. So he was a field agent. He was shadowing a husband and wife for protection. He was on assignment protecting Ethan and Julia. Ethan doesn't know that because he doesn't recognize him because he was supposed to be, it was silent protection, basically. They weren't supposed to know that he was there. So this happens. They find out at some point, his team finds out that a group of Serbian terrorists or somebody are targeting Ethan and Julia. He wants to warn them, but he's under orders. He can't be seen, whatever. And he figures his team, whatever, they'll take care of it. But one day Ethan goes out for a run and Brant follows him. When they get back, Julia's missing. His team's like knocked out. And a couple days later, Julia's found dead by the local police, or so he's led to believe at this point. So that's why Brant is no longer in the field. That's why he's like being weird and blaming himself now. Like, now I'm face to face with Ethan, that I'm the guy responsible for his wife's death. Like, what do I do? Like, do I tell him? How do you say that? Anyway, yeah. So pretty dark, pretty sad. But anyway, right after this, we get his prison buddy, Sergey, my friend, Bogdan.
Nico, dude, cousin.
Yeah, cousin.
Let's go bowling, cousin.
Yeah. So his cousin turns out to be an arms dealer.
Nico Bellic.
Yeah, which is why he was, why Ethan was calling him, trying to get his assistance. He needs to know where the big bad is headed, because now apparently he needs a targeting satellite to launch the nukes, and blah blah blah. We're going to Mumbai. That's what we need to know here. So he gets him set up with a jet to head out there, but he also tips off the KGB agent that's been after him, like, hey, I hear you're looking for an American. So it looks like he's playing both sides. Anyway, so this whole sequence I've been leading up to, they need a new code or something from this cartoonish Indian billionaire dude, the sleazy dude so Jane, Agent Carter, gets dressed up to sweet talk this billionaire, and Paula Patton,
she's fit.
Damn. That's all I can say more, but I'm not gonna. Meanwhile, Benji and Brant are trying to get into this giant computer room because I forgot why. Wibbly wobbly, Mission Impossibly, just enjoy the show. And he does.
Yeah, he goes into like it felt like he's like literally going into like a life-size like gaming computer.
Yeah. And he Supermans his way via high-powered magnets,
and he's wearing like a mesh like metal suit underneath his clothes, and it is by far the most ridiculous shit that has happened in a Mission Impossible movie thus far.
Todd, refresh my memory. What's the name of the all-powerful chainmail that Frodo wears?
Mithril.
Yeah. So he gets his mithril suit on, and Superman's through this computer room. They're just giving him something to do while Jane has to entertain this cartoonish billionaire perv. And then it doesn't matter. They run out of time anyway. The missile gets launched, and so now it's just they have to scramble to try to abort it. So they have to run after keep forgetting his name. Cobalt, was it? Hendrix, whatever, the big bad. Crazy chase ensues into this like automated parking garage thing. And again, this is one of those Family Guy chicken fights. Like, it's just, they're on moving platforms and up and down.
Well, and also, it's sort of an absurd thing because these things don't exist in North America. They literally just don't have them here. So, like, anybody who's watching this in North America is like, what the fuck is this? Why are the cars, like, going up and down on like what?
Yeah. So the bad guy, pretending to be the Russian government, he orders a sub to launch a nuke and make it look like retaliation for the Kremlin bombing, but he just wants to get his nuclear war started. He's Skynet.
Nuclear rocks off.
Nuclear rocks off, yeah. So the only way they can stop it is by hitting that big shiny red abort button in the suitcase he's carrying. Crazy fight. Meanwhile, the B squad has to get like the satellite uplink back up and running, something like that. So they get some actiony stuff to do. And another cool twist in this movie, which we've never seen in this franchise yet, because the nature of this character being like just the super true believer, willing to die for his cause, he just like nopes the fuck out off the garage. Just like fuck you, and
just so Ethan can't get the case to turn it off.
Exactly.
So yeah. Kills himself to prevent Ethan from
Yeah. And he actually he's mostly dead.
Yeah. His foot is twitching,
Yeah, he's there just kind of like looking around like, oh shit.
And that really hurt.
And then Ethan does the only thing he can do, straps into the nearest car and nopes himself down.
Thank God for airbags, I guess.
Yeah. I'm sure his neck still would have snapped like a twig, but whatever. It's Mission Impossible. And he crawls over and triumphantly shouts, "Mission accomplished!"
But then again.
Yeah, but it takes a few tries because they have to finish the satellite stuff. But then.
Well, it's a callback to the moment at the beginning when he has to punch the phone when it won't self-destruct.
Right, yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I'm joking about it, but honestly, at the end of it, I was like, that was a pretty inventive sequence and fight. And I keep wondering again, how much of that was Brad Bird's influence with that animation background, just like how everything escalates and then they end up back on the bottom and everything. I don't know. I thought it was really solid. But of course, the team gets a satellite uplink back on right in time. He hits the button. KGB guy comes in at the last minute, like just to see, like, oh, so you
ain't so bad.
Yeah, you ain't so bad. That was a funny moment. Like, just looks at him like all fucked up. He's like, hospital?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we flash forward. Probably like some time has passed because like wounds are healing. He's not all banged up, and we get Luther back. We get Ving Rhames, even though he's not a part of this story at all. I do appreciate that they bring him back. Like, it's just like a nice button. Like, no matter what, like Ethan and him are like best buddies for life. So they're always going to meet up and exchange war stories and whatever. But he's laughing at him. He's like, you actually said those words, mission accomplished, out loud. Like, you cheesy son of a bitch. And Ethan, does a little, thank you to the team. He wants them to keep on rolling with it. But again, Brandt is squeamish. And so they got to get their business aired out. And so Ethan finally clears up the air. The IMF gave Ethan the mission to be locked away in the prison because they suspected Hendrix, Cobalt, the big bad, had people on the inside. So they ended up faking Julia's death, which also kept her out of harm's way, and then cooked up the story of him taking revenge on the Serbians to end up locked away in jail. Okay.
Yeah, it's like that's some movie writery shit.
But long story short, it ends with the fact that they've given up on their relationship because, like, no matter, as long as he's doing this job, she's never going to be safe. So it's like, okay, we can buy that.
Yeah, especially since in the last movie, he found her in like 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. But yeah, so he set up this, we find out he set up this meeting here because he knew where she was going to be. We end up seeing her I believe in some sort of hospital clothes. So she's
wearing scrubs and she's with another like male nurse.
Yeah. And so we're I was gonna say, so they get a quick glance of each other, like across from the water, just kind of like a acknowledgement, like, oh god, hey, you're here. Yeah. And as she goes in the coffee shop,
What she's actually saying to the male nurse next to her, "Don't look now. It's my ex-husband. He's following me."
Oh shit, he knows about you. And then, but yeah, then they basically part ways. He disappears into the fog as he listens
like
to his
a
text,
ghost.
like a ghost listening to Protocol of some fashion. And the end. That's it.
Yeah, and I don't. Yeah, it's I think the ending isn't as tight as the rest of the movie. But it held up remarkably well. Like I was watching it with my sister. This one I watched Mission Impossible 3 on this laptop downstairs while I was playing video games, and then I watched Ghost Protocol on my on the big TV upstairs, and it was just so much more fun watching Ghost Protocol than it was Mission Impossible 3.
Yeah, for sure. Another fresh thing about this movie, as opposed to the last 3 movies, this is the first one where there are no moles in the organization. No bad guy is the no villain was a turncoat IMF agent. Like this is the first time, like, oh, thank God. Like it's not just this supposedly good guy organization just churning out fucking bad guys.
To be fair, there's not very many IMF agents in this movie.
That's true. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think this was the most fun I've had with these rewatches so far.
Well, this was also the highest grossing of all of them at the time. Yeah. And significantly more. It made significantly more than the third one did.
I think they also promoted the fuck out of this one a lot more. I think
they did. They also relied a lot on international, non-domestic box office.
Yeah, I think that was like a quarter or a half of the box office was the international market.
Okay.
And it makes sense. Like these types of like globe-trotting like movies, they do well in international territories.
Yeah, anytime foreign markets can see a slice of their home in an American movie, they love it.
And they usually make cuts of the films in other markets where the actors from other places have bigger roles. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. Like in Iron Man, the Chinese in Iron Man 3, the Chinese actors have like a way bigger role.
Which is good. Yay, diversity in Hollywood cinema. One last thing, I had to look it up because I wasn't 100% certain. But as he's walking off, into the shadows and listening to his next mission, that actually pays off.
It's the plot to the next movie.
It's the plot to the next movie. Yeah, the Syndicate is the other organization, like an anti.
What year? What was Rogue Nation? 2014 or 15?
15. Yeah,
15. Okay, and that's so when 4 years later.
Yeah, and that's when McQuarrie steps in to write and direct.
Yeah, and isn't he doing the last 2 as
7
well?
and 8. Yeah. He's run with it since
then. Fallout and the next 2 are supposed to be like a trilogy, right? So interesting. I still haven't seen Fallout.
When did Fallout come out? What year?
2019, I think. Maybe. I'm pretty sure. Because it was supposedly like the best action movie ever. Some people said that. Some people were like, "Yeah, this is the greatest action movie ever made."
I enjoyed it. 2018. 2018 was.
2018. Okay.
Yeah.
For some reason, I missed it in theaters, and I was really bummed that I didn't see it in theaters. So.
Okay, so it's Rogue Nation that I'm thinking with. Funny story. Rogue Nation is the only film that I can remember as an adult that I've actually fallen asleep in the theater.
Really?
Yeah, I just was not feeling that one. And as an adult, I actually passed out. My buddy Danny had to wake me up because apparently I was snoring.
Jeez. Well, we'll see how you do this time.
Yeah. I do remember thinking that I remember liking Rogue Nation. But I don't really remember anything about it.
I don't remember anything about it.
Like I literally
except the very beginning the plane stunt.
Yeah, I sort of remember that.
Yeah.
And I think there's the scene where he like kills the girl in front of him and behind like a plate of glass or something. And I thought
I
that
don't
was really,
remember.
yeah, and that's all I remember too, but I also can't remember it very well. So I don't even know if that happened.
Well, we'll find out for next time. We're maxing out our time here, so we better get moving. But yeah, next week our finale in the Mission Impossible series, 5 and 6, and
5, yeah, it'll be interesting to revisit that, and it'll be my first time watching 6, so I'm actually pretty stoked about that.
I remember
And then
about nothing from the last two except
7 and 8 when they come out. We'll have to do reviews of those too.
For sure. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we'll catch you next week. Thank you for joining. This is Tony.
This is Todd.
This is Byron.
And Meg, I guess.
Megzy! Woo!
Wah, wah.
All right. Later, guys.